Okay, hello everybody. I'm Shlomo, and I'm the CEO of eBusiness Chinese. And I'm happy to open our second webinar, which Andrew Hupert will give. I'm very happy to see so many people here, and it's really very exciting, and I really hope you'll enjoy your time. We really decided to start those webinars because along the way we've met really good people with vast knowledge about business in China, and we felt it's really worth sharing. I'm going to say some words about Andrew, who's a lecturer. So Andrew is the founder and CEO of Best Practices China Ltd, based in Shanghai, and since 2003. He has been advising and coaching executive and managers in multinationals to improve their deal-making and negotiating skills with Chinese counterparties. His corporate clients include Philips, Schindler's, and many more companies. He's a professor at the New York University, the Shanghai campus, and has also lectured in Strathclyde University MBA program. Andrew first came to China in 1990 after receiving his MBA in International Finance from New York University Stern School of Management. He gained extensive senior sales and management experience with leading financial institutions in Taipei, Hong Kong, Kyoto, and New York before settling in Shanghai as a consultant and lecturer. He has also published articles in business journals such as Shanghai Business Review and the China Economic Review, for which he writes a column on China business strategy and negotiation. Companies around the world follow his discussions about negotiation tactics in China at ChineseNegotiation.com.
Okay, thanks very much for joining us tonight. My name is Andrew Hubert, and I am based here in Shanghai.
Speak a little bit closer to the microphone, please.
I teach and write and study negotiation, usually U.S.-Chinese negotiation. Trying to advance to the next screen. Okay, there we go. This is me. I've been in China for about 9 years this time, and I spend just about all my time dealing with issues having to do with negotiation. And now I'm going to share with you what I know. There's my contact information, which you'll be seeing again at the end. Okay, so let's talk about doing business in China. Many of you mentioned earlier that some of the issues you have in China have to do with cultural issues. Well, rule number one for being successful in China is making a decision about which one of these is correct. You have basically two options to be successful in China. First, you can attempt to change China and the way it does business. Or number two, you can change the way you do business. And obviously, changing China is not going to work. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today, assuming I can master the controls of the podcast. First, we'll be taking a look at what are best practices in Chinese negotiation. In Western society, in Western business, there are guys like me who go around teaching people how to sell and how to purchase and how to negotiate according to best Western practices. But we seem to have neglected studying what are Chinese best practices when it comes to negotiation. So we'll take a look at that. We'll look quickly at strategies. That's really a good conversation for another time. Then we'll get right to the heart of today's conversation, and it's going to be about tactics and counter-tactics. So let's start with standard operating procedures. If you want to learn American standard operating procedures or Western standard operating procedures, you probably start with a book called Getting to Yes by Uri Fisher and Patton, and some other great negotiating books that have followed. If anyone's interested, I can get you a list. But what do you do in China? In China, there is no there's no orthodox text about the way what's the best way to negotiate. Well, when I was doing research on how Chinese negotiated, one of the first things I asked was, what do Chinese tell one another? What do Chinese parents, fathers tell their sons about the best way to negotiate? I spent a long time gathering data, and I boiled it down to these 5 points. First has to do with relationships over transactions. In the West, and some of you will be hearing from me a lot today, is that in the West we negotiate for transactions. In China we don't. In China we negotiate for the relationships. And there are 2 keys there. One is that relationships are more important than transactions in Chinese business, but 2, that negotiations are, relationships are something that we negotiate. It is not quite as organic as it is for Americans and Europeans.
Andrew, excuse me.
Yes?
Can you just please speak a little bit closer to the microphone?
I'm wearing a mic that is pinned right to my throat. So
Okay.
I'll try to adjust. Hopefully this will be better.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, the second thing is a Chinese negotiator is always ready for the next counterparty. The third thing that we'll look at, and we'll talk about this in a moment, is the Chinese negotiator is much more conscious about balance of power than an American or European negotiator. Americans are still taught to dominate their market sector, and Europeans like to exploit niches in the market. Chinese will approach a negotiation from a perspective of balance of power and how to shift it. So they'll come in low, and then we'll try to terminate things on a higher and more powerful note. Chinese negotiating to a much greater degree than Western negotiating depends on misdirection, opacity, opaqueness, and obfuscation. Yes, I went there. So Chinese are much more strategic about their misdirection, whereas Americans and Europeans are more opportunistic. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And finally, it's the very fluid view of negotiating partners. In China, they will consider counterparties, meaning you or I, short-term partners, medium-term customers, and long-term competitors. Let's look at these in a little bit more detail. I'm having trouble advancing. Okay, so we'll start out with the idea of relationships. One of the big key differences between the way Chinese negotiate and the way Westerners negotiate has to do with this idea of what comes first, the relationship or the transaction. Chinese negotiators believe that relationships are the source of stability in a business relationship, or in a business, in business. That relationships are the source of stability. Westerners believe that a signed contract is the source of stability. For the Chinese side, deals and transactions come and go, but relationships between honorable men built over a long time through a mutual network, that's what really makes the business world go round. Westerners not only believe in contracts, but Westerners have this belief that contracts trump the environment. That a signed contract can assign risk and liability. So if oil is $100 a barrel when you and I sign an agreement, and 6 months from now, if the price of oil moves against you by 20%, well, my attitude is that's just your tough luck. It's a good thing that we signed that contract. If oil prices move against me and make my end of the deal less profitable, then you'll say, well, that's just that's your problem, not mine. To the Chinese side, this is legalistic and not very honest. It's honoring the letter of the law, but not the letter of the agreement, but not the intent. Chinese tend to believe that a contract, while it's important, it's a record of an agreement between two people under a specific set of circumstances. And that as the circumstances change and as the environment changes, then the contract terms will have to be adjusted to reflect the new reality. And there's a big difference between the way Americans and Chinese view agreements, and has been the source of a lot of conflict. The second big principle that I want you to be aware of is that Chinese tend to view opportunity cost a little bit differently. For a Westerner, once we get a hold of a counterparty, a client, or a customer, or a supplier, we tend to hold on to them at all costs. China, this isn't always so. China has had a shortage of food over the years, water, land. Well, China's had a lot of shortages, but never of people. And this really colors the Chinese negotiators' attitude towards opportunity cost. Chinese negotiators feel that the opportunity cost of spending too much time with one counterparty may be huge, maybe astronomical.
Excuse me, Andrew, we have a question.
Yes.
We have a question from Bo, and he's asking about the contract. He asked, so the Chinese think that contract should change whenever they want?
They feel it's fluid, so they don't feel, well, this is one of the things we'll get to. Yeah, basically, yes. They don't feel they're being dishonest about it. Chinese feel that agreements are fluid and relationship-based. As long as you have a relationship with you, Bo, the negotiation is ongoing. And the fact that you made an advantageous deal yesterday, or you had good terms yesterday, doesn't mean that it should be locked in stone or carved in stone. Whereas Westerners tend to feel it is carved in stone. So, yeah, to answer your question, they will be more liberal about renegotiating contracts than Americans or Europeans would be. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So the idea here is that the Chinese always think that there's a better deal coming down the road. And they feel that the opportunity cost of terminating with you is usually small or insignificant, whereas the deal they may miss because they're wasting time with you might be the deal of a lifetime. So they're always ready to move up the ladder